Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Cloud Deep Dive. This is a series of videos we are doing where we are talking about AWS KMS and encryption. So in this particular video, I will walk you through that how KMS does encryption behind the scene, how it's using the keys and how the encryption work behind the scene. So with our first example, what we're going to do, we'll check that how encryption work when you're trying to encrypt any file by using your CLI. So by using CLI, you can use AWS KMS Encrypt or AWS KMS Decrypt to your encrypt or decrypt your data, and it will be a plain text. So you can either send the plain text as a like hello cloud deep dive in your CLI command, and you will get the encrypted data, or you can create a plain text file and get it encrypted by using this CLI command. So the way it works that when you give a AWS KMS encrypt, you give a file path that where your plain text file is located on your computer. And what this particular command will do, it will send the whole file as is to the KMS and ask KMS that can you encrypt it. KMS will receive the file, will encrypt the file and send you back the encrypted file. So in this particular method, the way the AWS KMS encrypt is send the whole file to the KMS, encrypt it and send it back. So there's some constraint in this particular approach is that if your file is too big, uh, there is a limit that if it is reaches that limit, and if you're sending more than that limit file, then KMS encrypt won't work. It will send you an error message. And I'll show you in a demo as well. So what we are going to do, we'll try to encrypt a file which is in some kbs, it will work. Then we'll try to encrypt a file which is more than 4 MB, and when we try to do that, we are getting an error message. So what I have done, I created two sample files, file 1 and file 2. It has some kind of plain text data in that, and you can say the first file is 385 KB and the second file is my 4.4 MB. So let's first um, try to encrypt my first file and let's see what happened. So for that, we will use our CLI, and before that, what I have done that I have created a user which I configured to my CLI, and this is the user I'm using, KMS user 2, and it has very basic permission that it can encrypt and decrypt the file. And we will be using our customer managed key CMK demo 1, which does not have any user assigned. So it will be using all the permissions we have defined in our IAM. So in the command, you can see it's pretty simple command, AWS KMS encrypt. I'm using the profile demo KMS where I configured this particular user, and then in US East 1 region providing the key ID, and my file is present here, file1.rtf, and other parameter which is required for this file, for this command. So you can see this command succeeded and we got a file name called example encrypted file, which is 547 bytes. So this worked. Now if I try to do the same thing for my file2.rtf file, let me go back and edit that command. And if I try to run this, you can see we got an error that the length exceeded. This is I think 200,000 bytes. So there is a limit that if you try to encrypt any data more than these many bytes, you will get an error message if you're doing it by using AWS KMS encrypt command from the CLI. And if I show you in the documentation as well, AWS KMS encrypt mainly used to encrypt a small or kind of a very small file. Maybe you have your database password or the other sensitive information, you just want to send it, get the encrypted value and store it. So it's used for those kind of use cases. Now, like AWS KMS encrypt has a limit that you cannot go beyond this particular limit. So how we can get it encrypted? So there's another SDK which AWS provide, and all the AWS services which you use. So suppose you are uploading your file to S3, that S3 is behind the scene using that SDK, and that SDK allows you to encrypt more than this 200,000 bytes data as well. So how that process work? with the Encryption SDK. It works on the concept of data key, and data key is used to encrypt and decrypt your data. So instead of using the master key, you will use a separate data key which is generated from your KMS main key only, and that key will be used to encrypt and decrypt your data. So suppose let's take an example that you are uploading a plain text file to S3. What S3 is going to do that the moment you upload that file, and if encryption is enabled for the CMK, it's going to send a request to the KMS, hey, can you give me a data key? So the moment you send a request, KMS will give you back two keys, data key and the encrypted data key. And the plain text data key, which is not encrypted, will be used to encrypt your file, and then the file will be stored in the S3 along with the encrypted data key, and then S3 is going to disregard or kind of dispose of your plain text data key, because that's the key which is used to encrypt your data. Only this particular key can be used or will be used to decrypt the data. So when it's stored, now you're both the key and the data both are encrypted. If somebody get access to this data, they won't be able to access it if they are not authorized to decrypt your data key. So that's how the encryption work. But now when somebody try to access it, what happened that then you send a request, hey, I want to read this particular file, but they cannot read it because first it need to be decrypted. That's what the S3 is going to do. So first S3 will do, it will take out the encrypted data key, and because encrypted data key cannot be used to decrypt, it will send it to the KMS and say, hey KMS, can you decrypt it? Now KMS will verify that the user who is calling to encrypt, they decrypt this encrypted data key is authorized or not. Once it does all this math, all this process, it will decrypt the data key, will send it back the data key to the S3. Now the S3 will use the plain text data key to decrypt your data and will send it back to you. So that's how the encryption and the decryption work. In this scenario or example, you might have observed that we are not sending any plain text file or any data to the KMS. We are just asking or sending the data key for the decryption process, or in the encryption processor, we are requesting to give us the data key, and we are just the keys are getting passed on via the internet or in this whole process. The data is still remaining with the S3 service. So like in the CLI version, what we were doing, we were passing the whole text or whole text file to the KMS. In this case, we are not doing it. We are doing at the service level. We are just getting the data key from there. So that's all for this particular video. Hope you liked it and learned something new with this video. I will be uploading more on the KMS series. Please do subscribe and press on the bell icon so that you will get notified whenever I upload my new video. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.